All right, the spectacle of school board meetings in North Idaho aside, there was a time when the West Ada School District was the epicenter of mask mandates in Idaho. Those meetings, shaking the foundation that school board members are tasked with doing what is best for their district students. A very vocal group of parents didn't agree with that sentiment, so much so that back in August, just a few days before school was supposed to start, the West Ada Board of Trustees voted 3-2 to require masks for all students and staff, with one exception. Parents could fill out an opt-out form, meaning their students would be exempt from wearing masks at school. And more than 12,000, about 32% of the district, did just that, their parents. For 2 days, parents wrapped around the district building to opt their kids out of that requirement because they had to fill out a form. They wouldn't accept just an emailed opt-out form. That opt-out form came with a warning that should cases within the district get into high transmission, into that category, well, they're just going to revoke that, and then everybody would be required to wear masks. And then, just 2 weeks into the school year, yeah, you remember, crisis standards of care was enacted across the state. Cases were climbing, even within the district. Those opt-out forms, no longer valid. The district revisited the issue several times since, voting to extend that requirement back on October 8th. You can see that on the first 3 weeks of school, let's take a look at some of these numbers. The first 3 weeks of school in the West Ada School District, cases were pretty high. And in some cases, hundreds of students were out in quarantine. It was around week 4, the end of September, things started to slow down a bit. Obviously, we're missing some data from that first full week in October, but you can see the trend that cases have continued to kind of go down, declining. Just 4 cases in the high school just last week. So last night, the board decided they're going to lift that mask requirement starting after Thanksgiving break. The news also comes about 2 weeks after the FDA and the CDC approved the COVID vaccine for kids ages 5 to 11. We should point out the state is still operating under crisis standards of care, but numbers are slowly, again, across the state, starting to go down. So West Ada students and staff will wear their masks the rest of this week. They're going to take next week off for Thanksgiving and then head back to school on November 29th with a mask optional. But usually Thanksgiving means, you're getting together with a bunch of people that don't normally live in your house, from outside your house. Grandma, grandpa, cousins, aunts, uncles, sometimes neighbors, sometimes friends. And with that in mind, some parents are questioning the district's timing to lift the mask mandate. November 29th, is that enough time for interested parents to fully vaccinate their children? Here's Katya Stepovic.
The Idaho Department of Health and Welfare sounded the alarm Tuesday to warn that districts may be lifting their mask requirements too soon.
We have about a little over 8,000 kids in the 5 to 11 year age group vaccinated, which is just a small fraction of the over 100,000 kids in that age group. So we are worried that it's too hasty. We want to give a chance to get more of those kids vaccinated.
And some parents are also feeling like the move came a little too soon.
Upspike in flu season and traveling and holidays, and good God, nobody washes their hands anymore. It's really bad.
For Amanda Jason-Boski and her 11-year-old daughter, school has been a lot of back and forth since COVID began.
I just feel like they should implement either do or don't. We need to have some sort of consistency in place for these children. Children thrive off of consistency.
She says she plans to vaccinate her daughter, but in the meantime, especially around the holidays, for their family, masks are a must.
My personal preference for my child, of course, is to wear a mask. We have, she has a 70-year-old great grandma who gets sick very easily, and the last thing I want to do is be responsible for her death because I didn't have my child wear a mask.
West Ada says they will continue to follow the same positive case notification process, but families are now being asked to monitor their kids' symptoms and keep them home if they're sick.
Well, my daughter is home sick with a cough. I can't be sure. She's had her first COVID vaccine, but I can't be sure that she doesn't have COVID, and I can't send her to school with a cough. This is why we see women drop out of the workforce. This is why we're seeing parents having to use all of their sick time to keep their kiddos home.
And the worry is that sending kids back to school with no masks will only lead to more COVID cases, thus more kids at home.
This kind of jumped the gun. It's not giving us enough chance to get our kids fully vaccinated.
Some parents also worry how the district's back and forth behavior will impact their kids.
It creates this us against them mentality for our kids. Adult politics are bleeding into kids' friendships and kids' relationships. and they're bleeding into kids' relationships with their teachers.
11-year-olds, they're impressionable, you know, and oh, my friend wasn't wearing it and they said that I look goofy with it, so I didn't, and now I'm sick.
Now, parents like Amanda and Destiny just hope that the district's new choice doesn't put their family's health in jeopardy.
When you have family that's been dying around you because of COVID, it's kind of hard not to live in fear, you know what I mean?
So you've had family members pass from the virus?
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Is it?
Not really.
Mm.
But I gotta tell myself that, or else what else do? You know, you break down, right? You gotta be strong for these kids.
And I do want to mention that not all parents are against West Ada's decision to remove the mask mandate. On our KTVB Facebook page, I actually counted the number of comments and found that a majority of commenters were in support of it. And I want to show you guys a couple examples of what they had to say on that page. Lisa Martin says, good, about 80% aren't wearing them correctly anyway. James Piles, I'm not required to wear a mask in most of the places I go. The public library and my mom's assisted living home are the only two exceptions. Why should adults enjoy this freedom? Children are punished. Chris Fuller, if only Boise School District would do the same thing. And we did reach out to the Boise School District to see where they are with masking, and they told us this. They said that for now their protocols are working and that they plan to revisit those in January after they return from winter break. They say that will give families extra time to get vaccinated should they choose to do so before making any decisions on masking. So we'll just have to wait and see, Brian, if they follow suit with this recent trend.
Yeah, and it's just kind of one of those things too. We talked about how kids are going to be in the middle of this, even going back to September when these discussions got a little bit heated about kids being in the middle of these decisions. Why can't the grown-ups just make the decision instead of putting their kids into, well, some do, some don't. And here we are back to that again. But again, that's a discussion a lot of parents and families will be having over this Thanksgiving break. All right, thank you very much, Kyle.